I'm going to show very quickly another project called Luca. This is I've never really showed this before, and this project has not been made. And in many ways, this is like exposing essentially a pitch deck for something that we're trying to float around to find some collaborators with. But I first encountered artificial intelligence. Well, I've never encountered artificial intelligence, but I first started studying it in high school, doing simple neural networks using Lisp. And even though I eventually veered out of math and computer science into linguistics and anthropology and stuff, I'm still very fascinated about, the possibility of encountering a general artificially intelligent agent. And, the technology is getting to this point for digital agents that it's super interesting to try to understand what it's like to create a personal relationship with digital agents, which is being explored very heavily in popular culture right now. So this is something I came up with Mark DaCosta, an amazing artist and data scientist. And it's something that we're planning on starting to build in some way or another these coming few years, since we also have a lot of time in our homes right now. But we sort of feel that there is this new world we're dealing with where, there is a bit of like a poetics of data mining. And it's like, how do we negotiate intimacy with digital agents in immersive new media interfaces? And all these images from the deck are not from the experience itself. But as I said, this is sort of a little bit of a pitch deck that I usually wouldn't share, but I thought it was very appropriate to this. But the main vibe is, as algorithms become more integrated into the world, our lives are increasingly acted out through stories mediated by digital interfaces. Data is constantly gathered, we're assigned profiles, ads are slipped into our social media feeds to influence our personalities and aesthetics. At every turn, we are sort of being curated into this more efficient path through the world, and more technological systems continue to conjoin with our culture, desires, and relationships. And yet more often than not, how our stories are shaped by these forces and algorithms fade into a barely perceptible, almost background noise. So Luca, in a way, is trying to take a crack at appropriating some of these technologies and data that underwrite a digitally mediated world, and uses the algorithm and automated systems as a medium, and trying to show how narrative possibilities about technology, our sense of self, and society can be told at the level of data and experience. Interactions with artificially intelligent digital agents are not only fundamentally emotional and social, but also overwhelmingly designed and calibrated. So right now is a really important time to unlock them as a medium of storytelling outside of the monopolies of tech giants, and we're all just furiously competing for our attention. Luca is introduced as a digital agent who sort of wants to get to know you, and has this sort of feeling of extreme relevance. And we imagine the experience first starting almost as a mobile text conversation that sort of sits alongside of your conversation with your friends and family, and it takes on this deferential, clumsy tone and wants to doesn't pretend, but wants to get to know you. But at the same time, we're using that textual information to automatically start web crawlers to go after online profiles for you. So the experience is entered as a text message app from which we can sort of mine information from. And then following a short window of time, you are then sort of invited to a place where the installation would be, with sort of the urgency that this new digital agent or friend or personality wants to show you something. And this is when the experience itself would move into virtual reality. You would be invited to this place, you get in a headset, and then you're sort of placed in this geometric grid, and like all the algorithms we interact with on a daily basis, Luca now potentially knows a lot about you, like your phone, where your phone number is registered, addresses you've lived at, usernames you often use, language you default to, career histories on LinkedIn, consumer credit profiles, Spotify playlists, pictures on Google Images, domain names you've registered, tweets, Instagram. There's just this plethora of information that we can draw from just by knowing your name, your phone number, and how you've even already sort of talked to Luca through text message. And we use that to generate imagery, videos, text, 3D objects called from the internet and brought into this virtual space. And so as the experience unfolds, you start potentially feeling a little bit unsettled. Where did this come from? And Luca then sort of takes on a natural language processing voice that can sort of dynamically start interacting with you. Essentially, this nebulous digital agent who started as a text message conversation, now that you're in VR, is suddenly engaging with you, and you're sort of trying to push you in ways where you're starting to see like the presence of the algorithms itself. And I don't think we necessarily try to hide that. And at the end, when you sort of encounter Luca, you sort of see how it's inseparable from the data signatures you produced. And it's in that way trying to create a little bit of an uncanny mirror. By getting to know the algorithm, you come to see how a digital agent understands a whole person from fragments. And these gaps and leaps in the narrative are inseparable from the processes that would drive Luca. And in the end, this is all hypothetical because we haven't built this. And, I think it would take some as any creator would do, we want to mold it as we created it. We're thinking about having Luca become frustrated and then Luca must depart, maybe gets back on text messages with you, but it's all about, it's all about whether or not you want to meet them again, but, was your connection with Luca real? What are sort of these ghosts in the machine in a way? And how do we emotionally connect to them? And what are they doing sort of just out of sight, And in that sense, I think it's trying to look at something that is occurring in our day-to-day lives, starting with our mobile devices and now becoming more intense. So at its core, Luca creates a unique social experience between a participant and an algorithm. And more importantly, the project becomes an experiment in the effective and sort of poetic aspects of data to explore how we relate with digital agents and how such digital agents understand us. And ideally, a participant will become more attuned to the background noise of this data sort of collection and digital agent posing that are starting to mold our lives in ways that will only become, quite frankly, more ubiquitous in the very near future. This is major cultural touchstones already being established during these early days of artificially intelligent digital agents. And some of them are even being presented at this conference. But there are real tensions between our real and digital selves. And, we're beginning to live in fear of anthropomorphic representations of aggressive algorithms that could threaten our existence. And, but the reality of our current situation, per usual, is much more nuanced. And we see Luca as a project that represents an opportunity to investigate a new and fundamentally profound new chapter in our relationship with technology.
It reminds me actually of GPT-3. I don't know how much you've explored that with your work, but I think the narrative might be something that you should explore further to build out Luca. We could talk about that offline or in the community chat.
Totally. That would be an essential technology that we'd use to drive the natural language processing. And it's also why we're excited to pick this up again. This deck really started in 2017, and it's been in the past 6 months that we're starting to reapproach it again.
It's all about timing, right?
Because of the accessibility. Yeah. So anyway, very nebulous. It's not created, but it's something that we're using as a project to investigate digital agents and how we sort of create relationships with them and through data algorithms and and data collection. And
Awesome.
it's just a very interesting time for all that.